In order to understand education, we have to see it within the context of web technologies and life understanding, Life 1.0. Let us first look at Education 1.0. Here we see that learners are seen as receptacles of knowledge. It is a one-size-fits-all education. Regarding Web 1.0, similarly, it is filled with static content with one-way publishing of content and no interaction between readers or publishers. Life 1.0, as Max Tegmark puts it, is represented by simple and biological life where hardware and software are determined by DNA and progress through evolution. In this case, moving on to Education 2.0. Here we start seeing interaction between teacher and student, and student to content expert. Regarding Web 2.0 technologies, we see two-way communication as well. Content creators and content consumers. People take part in both. And regarding Life 2.0, as Max Tegmark puts it, life can design its own software, culture, language, sports, and professions. Yet this biological simple life can't yet design its own software, meaning its own DNA. So here it's pretty interesting. I want to pause here for a second and consider how powerful this statement is, that software, biological creatures create their own software, and that Max Tegmark considers our human or biological software to be culture, to be language. This is something that's very interesting to me as I have been getting more interested in linguistics and been understanding more and more how powerful language is within itself. Now considering language and culture to be a form of software for biological creatures. And finally, where we want to go, Education 3.0. So instead of starting with education in this case, I'm going to start with Web 3.0 technologies first, and then go on to Life 3.0, and then end in Education 3.0. With respect to Web 3.0, in the semantic web, content will find you through AI and web learning. And, if you read up further in Web 3.0, you start seeing that the semantic web is the web of meaning making, of ontologies, whereas Life 3.0 is the creation of a technological species. Now remember, Life 1 and 2.0 were considered life being a biological, I'm guessing carbon-based type of life. Here, what I presume that Max Tegmark means is AI, artificial intelligence, right? And so it says, the creation of a technological species that can design both its software and hardware. Of course, also the singularity, right, where technology gets so strong enough that it could design its own software, I guess a lot like us, but also start creating its own hardware. Now, where do we as people, as teachers, as students fall in this context, in this larger context, right? So according to research, it says that based on Education 3.0 is based on a personalized, self-determined education. Now, a lot of the personalized stuff is kind of referring back to Web 3.0, where content will find you, right? And a little bit with Life 3.0 as well, where the software and hardware is powerful enough that this is one of the reasons we all kind of live in this very fragmented society, because we're no longer experiencing mass media collectively through a limited amount of channels. Every single one of us already has our own personalized media feeds, social media feeds, entertainment feeds. And so Education 3.0 really needs to be underway, and is currently very far behind, unfortunately, in order to combat and be at the same level and as Web 3.0 and Life 3.0. We need our students, our organizational structures, our bureaucratic processes to speed up at the pace in a reasonable fashion, at a proper pace. Let us now look at a different, more refined perspective, instead of looking at the context within education, web technologies, and life in general, as Max Tegmark puts it. I thought it would be interesting to look at some commonalities between Education 2.0 and Education 3.0. One of those commonalities that is something that we're gonna explore further in another page, and that commonality is creating and contributing. Now, there's many ways of doing this. You could write books, you could write scripts, you could create comic books, you could create podcasts. But the way I want to focus is on video creation and media creation. This is paramount at this moment, and it's not going to go away. It is definitely not going to go away. So we will serve ourselves and our students well if we get a grip on this and really get comfortable with creating videos and media.